Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green Room, Pratiswani's series of conversations with our creative community. Today, joining me in the Green Room are two dear friends, Pratik, Shah, and Archana Srikanta, who both made their Pratiswani debut with our production of Queen by Madhuri Shekhar just over a couple of years ago. Welcome, Pratik and Archana. So good to see you both. How are you guys doing?
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
doing well. Hi to everybody out there.
Yeah. So hey, I haven't, maybe we've had a couple of conversations here there on the phone, but I haven't really seen you guys since March. So let's start there. What's going on? How are you guys doing? What's new and different, personally speaking? Let's start with you, Pratik.
Not much that's new or different. I mean, obviously, it's been a very interesting year. Um, I'm looking forward to the elections now. Uh,
Looking forward. Not very many people who are.
I'm really hopeful. But yeah, not much that's been going on. I mean, life's changed, obviously. Working from home's been very different. I've set up a makeshift office in my living room, between my kitchen and my living room.
Yeah.
So yeah, no
Yeah, and
different.
we'll definitely talk a little bit more about, what working from home has been for both of you. But let's start. Let's go to you, Archana. I know you've got a whole bunch of changes to report. So tell us, get us caught up.
Yeah, I guess since March, me and my husband, we bought a home, and
Congratulations.
well, thank you. And I am also pregnant, and I'm expecting a baby anytime now, actually.
Whoa,
So
double
that has been I
congratulations.
know, thank you. So that's been my year. In addition to the pandemic craziness and all that brings with it.
Yeah, yeah. And truth be told, it was when I found out and really thought about the fact that you were pregnant in the middle of a pandemic. I was like, I wonder what hospital visits are like for her. And then I was like, I'm not the only one wondering. We should do a green room. So that is so.
That's the motivation for
Yeah,
this.
that is the genesis of this conversation for sure. But we also, wanted to celebrate over 2 years of Queen. In fact, one of the things that people out there may not know is that uh, we, the cast and crew of Queen, have been trying now for at least 18 months to find a date we can all get together. I even volunteered to cook dinner and watch the DVD, and we have simply not been able to even find time for that. And of course, right now, I would love to cook you guys dinner, but I'm not inviting you to my house. And Zoom dinners are just not as much fun. So,
They're not as
uh,
fun.
so we'll wait for a different time to be able to do that again. Okay, so you bought a house. Where did
Yes.
you move to? You used to live in South Lake Union.
I used to live in South Lake Union, moved to Bellevue, mostly. It's the border of Bellevue and Issaquah, so almost Issaquah.
Almost Issaquah. All right,
Yeah,
cool. And what's that like to not be in the middle of the city all of a
downtown.
sudden? Yeah.
It's well, so the apartment that I used to live in actually had, this is just the past like before I moved for about 6 months, we were in an apartment that was on the 32nd floor, and it had like this sweeping view of the entire city. And
Yeah.
I only got to live there 6 months, but that was enough to get me hooked on to that, just watching the city life from my window, even if I'm not out there participating in it. So I definitely miss that, watching the water and watching, the lights of the city and even just the lights of the building, small things. Like sometimes you wonder like, oh, why aren't these office lights turned on? Is somebody working in there or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's definitely quieter and a lot more spaced out here. So in that sense, the space and the greenery and the environment is different. But it's nice in some ways. Like we get to go out on walks, and there's trails here, and there's actual, like, if you go onto these trails here in Bellevue and Issaquah, it feels like you're on a hiking trail, like somewhere
Sure.
deep in the
Yeah.
forest sometimes here. So
Yeah.
that's been really nice, especially with my pregnancy. We've been going out on a lot of walks, so I think the walks have been of better quality for sure than what we were doing in downtown.
Sure. And
So.
and the extra space can't hurt, right? When you're both at home. I'm assuming you're
Oh,
both at
yeah,
home working
within the
from home.
home. Yeah,
Yeah.
within the home, we were in a two-bedroom apartment, and my parents were with us. So we were four of us in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oof.
And just between the four of us, like if we both work for Amazon, and just taking calls was really difficult. We had to keep like playing musical chairs for like which room, who goes where. And, you know, my parents had to get evicted out of rooms sometimes. So yes, in that sense, the house now, we both have our dedicated office rooms, so we're not kicking each other out all the time. My parents have their room, so that's been nice.
Yeah, no kidding. I can imagine. So did you guys decide to buy the house before the pandemic or after the pandemic?
We were looking for almost a year and a half now, but
Okay.
We bought this particular house, or we decided to buy this house after the pandemic. So we were
Okay.
doing the house search through the pandemic.
So the pregnancy triggered the house search,
Oh,
and
again, no. We were
no.
searching before we even knew I was pregnant. I guess uh, it added some urgency underneath it with the pregnancy, but we've been looking for a while now. We've been looking for almost a year and a half, 2 years, like I said. It's a miracle that me and my husband found a home that we both agreed upon and we both liked.
That's funny. All right. So Pratik, last time I checked in with you, you were living in ID or just outside, right?
I moved last year, so I'm now in downtown area. Right
Oh,
across from,
John. By John, is that where you are? First Hill, just across the highway from First Hill. Is that? Am I remembering
uh,
that correctly?
yeah, I'm right across from Whole Foods actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Uh,
go ahead. Go ahead. So what's that? What has your working from home pandemic experience in your new apartment been?
um, so it's interesting. I was just thinking about what I was just wondering when Archana was saying she stayed on the 32nd floor for 6 months. I was like, what building did you stay in? Because I am on the 32nd floor here.
Oh, it was
That's
Cirrus. I
really
was
nice
at
of you.
Cirrus.
You were where? Cirrus?
Cirrus,
Cirrus?
yeah.
Oh, right next to us.
Oh, really? Where are you right now?
Stratus.
Oh, yours was the building that I could see like right from my window.
So they're sister properties. They're managed by the
Yeah,
same.
managed by the same, exactly. Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, that's interesting, and I had no idea. But yeah, so it's actually been. I really like living here. Just International District is not that far away. It's like a mile and a half, but it made a huge difference. I moved here last summer. Last summer was a blast. Just being in the thick of things, everything is walkable. You can go to lots of places, and there are lots of events happening that I didn't even know about. That I can just like hear them from where I am or see them, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go check it out, you know. So that's been really good. During the pandemic, having the nice view has been helpful and you know good. Um, in terms of the year itself, obviously, it's not been that good. So it's not, you know, like I haven't been able to enjoy the amenities that this place has or do much of the activities I did last summer because, you know, it's a pandemic, not much happening. So that part has been different. But overall, I do really like the place that I'm living at now.
So, this is something I was listening to the news the other day, and they were talking about Manhattan in that, the rents in New York City have actually been dropping, and they're down by as much as 20-25%. And they were interviewing somebody who said, the whole point of paying all of this money to rent in Manhattan is because you could go to all the things that are happening in Manhattan. And when there's nothing happening that you want to go to, why do you need to spend all this money to live in the middle of everything when everything doesn't exist? So
Right.
are you seeing, like, I haven't been downtown in a very, very long time. What is it like? Obviously the Amazon crowds that come in and out every day, and especially the South Lake Union area, are not coming in. And we've heard and read all about those restaurants. But what happens when you go to Whole Foods? Does it feel normal, Pratik, or does it feel empty and like you're truly in a pandemic?
No, surprisingly, Whole Foods has been not as busy as it used to be, but still busy. There's usually a line depending on what time you go there. What's different is this area, I guess, was more impacted by some of the BLM riots and stuff. So pretty much a lot of the area has been boarded up, including my building for several weeks. Has like glass entrances
Oh,
and stuff.
wow. Yeah.
Everything was boarded up. Whole Foods still is. where it was basically vandalized a couple times, and so now they've just kept it up there. But yeah, you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head earlier, which is that now there aren't all these activities that are happening here. So it's a very different environment. For me, I've basically staying quarantined except for, essential trips. I have a social bubble now, so, we of friends and stuff, so we hang out. So we go for walks, or we'll do, spend evenings together and things like that. So those are the types of activities that I've been doing, but very much not taking advantage of being in the middle of the city anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Social bubble. The term I think you're looking for is the pandemic pod. That's what you have. You have a pandemic pod. So, so let's talk about what this pandemic has done in terms of our daily routines and stuff, beyond just moving to a different apartment or buying a new house. You know, I believe you are in the same category of workers as myself, where it was seamless. We just were told you're working from home, and I actually grabbed my monitor and my laptop from work, brought it in here, and I'm essentially just as productive. 50-70% of the phone calls used to be on a headset anyway. Like most of the meetings were phone calls anyway, and now 100% of them are. So it hasn't really felt very different in terms of nature of work. How about you? So just for those of you who don't know, Pratik, you're at Facebook, and Archana, you're at Amazon. These are, you just mentioned actually, big companies that have been in the news, and we'll talk a little about that too. But just personally, at the micro level, what does it mean, Archana? What's working like home for you?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely somebody who probably would prefer going into work and having that collaborative experience. So you're right in some sense that, yes, can I achieve everything that I was doing at work remotely through these remote meetings and such? I think the answer is yes. I think 80-90% of it can still keep going on. But I think there's a certain difference to the quality of the way the work gets done when you're not running into people, or not having those hallway conversations. And especially for some of the more technical meetings that we have, so much of it gets done through just whiteboarding with people and brainstorming, whereas now the meetings and stuff have become a little bit more formal. Like when you call a meeting, you have to have a document ready. You can't just have those hallway conversations with people. So I think I missed that a lot. And not to mention, I had social relationships at work. Like I had friends at work that I would go out for lunch with and stuff. So like all of that is completely gone. So while it's been okay, I think I definitely am somebody who, it's been good for me for the pregnancy. From the pregnancy perspective, it's been good to stay at home for sure. But minus the pregnancy, I think I would be itching to go back into work and have that social experience of the workplace, even though the technical work might be getting done just the same.
Yeah, no kidding. People are definitely missing their friends at work, and none of us have kids at home, but those who have kids they'll never say it in front of their kids, but wouldn't mind a break from their own families to go to work as well. But wait, you moved into your new place after the work from home period started.
Yeah.
So what will your commute look like when the world returns to normal?
I have no idea, and I'm not thinking about it because it's like it's so far away. Like there's going to be a baby on the horizon, in the picture too. So I'm like, I have no idea what that's going to look like.
Yeah,
so
that's funny.
I haven't figured it out.
Yeah, maybe there's an Amazon commuter bus or something that you can pick up, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's buses and there's van pools, and we did the kind of groundwork research before we bought the home, but don't know exactly what we're gonna do.
Yeah. So Pratik, what's working from home like for you?
So it's interesting. One of the things you said, when this thing hit, when the pandemic hit, you basically grabbed your monitors and went home. I wish I could have done that, because at that time I was in New Zealand. When I had vacation. I got back and everything had shut down.
Oh, that's too bad.
And
you should have stayed there, by the way, just looking at how COVID's gone. Could have worked from there.
Yeah, that's right. It was just, initially I wasn't sure. I mean, I don't think anybody anticipated that this would be what it is, what it has turned out to be.
Yeah.
And so initially I was just working from home with my laptop without a really good setup, and eventually I realized, well, this is going to go on for longer than we think, and I need to have a better ergonomic setup because this is not good for my health.
Yeah.
And so I basically had like a makeshift setup, but much better than what I was doing previously. In terms of work itself, I agree with Archana. There are, putting aside the social aspects, which is very much true. Like there was, you realize there's like a lot of transfer of knowledge about what's happening in the company that happens just through the water cooler talks, right? Things like that. But putting that aside, in terms of work, the biggest issue that we've had is the difficulty having technical discussions, in the absence of whiteboards, basically. Earlier I saw Archana had a whiteboard.
Yeah, I definitely invested in one there.
We've tried like whiteboarding software and stuff, but it all has its limitations. I think even having a whiteboard in your
it's not
place,
the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the biggest drawbacks. But in general, we have all been doing much better working remotely than anticipated. Facebook has helped us out in many ways. They've basically given us some grants, to basically set up better home offices. They've given us like Facebook portal devices that everybody can have at home, so you can have a better audio video conference experience, things like that. It's worked better. Facebook is actually at a point where it's exploring making this a permanent option for employees. Our offices are not going to open, it looks like, until the middle of next year. By that time, they're seriously exploring whether they can give this as a permanent option to people, and then they can just work remotely from different time zones, whatever is convenient for them. Personally, I think there are obviously benefits that, I mentioned a couple of disadvantages, but there's also benefits of working from home, and, just sort of moving fluidly between different schedules, or if you need a break from work or anything like that, it becomes much easier. I think my personal preference would be not to work remotely at 100% either, but I would probably be like, go in sometime, some days, and stay at home some days. If I was forced to choose one or the other, I'd prefer going into the office. I was in an interesting situation because the current team that I joined at Facebook was last year, and one of the considerations that I had at the time was that this team was going to move to Bellevue. It's in Seattle right now, less than a mile away from where I am. I used to ride my bike to work, and super convenient. And I was dreading the fact that they were going to move to Bellevue. And so I was, in fact, considering, should I switch teams? What do I do, and look at some options. And one of the senior managers, when I joined Facebook last year, he was like, it's, a year and a half, 2 years away. You never know what's going to happen. We thought maybe some construction delays, but
famous last words. You never know what's going to happen.
See, the irony of it is, sorry, go ahead and finish it.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know what will happen once the office opens. One of the things is that most of my team is remote already anyways, because they're in California. And so I have more options than I would otherwise. And I was already sort of in this position where I was working remotely, and conferencing with my team a lot, but it still makes a difference being at the office and just being able to fly down to California whenever I wanted to.
Yeah. So it's the irony is that the buildings that we occupy were going through a renovation cycle. So they had been moving different teams from one building to another, and then tear this down and rebuild it, and then move somebody else in there, and this whole musical chair that was going on, and now everybody's gone. So they really ramped up the renovation cycle for some of those buildings. Others, they can't touch because everybody left. It's a little bit of a Chernobyl, right? All our personal belongings are still sitting over there.
Oh, that's true.
Because
Yeah.
nobody, like you said, Pratik, nobody was expecting to be gone for 7 months. So, I mean, for a while, I was like, yeah, I have some snacks. I had some, cashews or whatever in my desk drawer. I don't need to go get them. We'll be back. And then a month later, I was like, no, I would eat those cashews right now. So I went and got them, right? So because what's happened is all the people just left and all their personal belongings are there, and no one wants other people to come in and pack their stuff for them right now. Those renovations are just stalled. So unless they figure out how to get personal belongings out, the whole cycle is sort of interrupted. So pluses and minuses. All right, let's talk about something other than work. Ramit's asking, how are you guys coping with no shows, no theater? Has that been a problem for either of you?
You go ahead, Archana.
No, go, Pratik.
Not for me. I did a show just before the pandemic in February, and it was hard because it was in Federal Way, and the commute was really hard. The weather was really bad in January when we were doing rehearsals. It was nonstop rain, and so sort of.
And then your opening got canceled because of a power outage.
Oh.
Our opening night.
Yeah.
So I was sort of in a mode where I was like, okay, I need a break anyways. And I think personally, because of work commitments and things like that, a show a year is probably a good enough pace for me. And I would rather just do smaller things when I get a chance, like a stage reading or just like a casual read like we did in the summer, August. Yeah.
Right.
So I did do like a fundraiser with Center Stage Theater in the summer, a virtual fundraiser during the pandemic, where we had a socially distanced version of one of the scenes from my play in February called Let There Be Love. We did a socially staged version of it. And so that was a good, interesting experience. Center Stage Theater has been doing other things as well, just virtual shows and stuff. And I chose not to spend too much time on that, mainly because of some work projects and some personal projects right now.
Yeah. Shout out to Mrinalini Kamath, the playwright for Let There Be Love. She was in town, of course, for opening, and we got to see her as well. Speaking of playwrights, of course, we got to go back to Queen and Madhuri Shekhar. Have either of you had a chance to watch her new movie on Amazon Prime? It's called The Evil Eye. I don't know. Yeah, check it out. So just a plug for Madhuri. I don't know, Archana, have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen it, but I did see that it came out and it was written by Madhuri Shekhar, so it's on my watch list right now.
Yeah, and
check it out. I had no idea.
Yeah, and for a movie to actually come out with writer credits is very unusual. Like, you don't normally see, James Bond, whatever, written by. There's no written by for movies a whole lot. So I did watch the trailer, and I do need to find some time to watch the movie as well. But movies and theater hasn't really been your summer, yeah, Archana? So let's talk about that pregnancy and how that's coming along.
Sure. What do you want to know about it?
What's it like going to a hospital in the middle of a pandemic? I mean, I'm honestly just curious. Knock on wood, I haven't had to, but is it different? Does it feel crazy? Does it are there extra precautions? What's it like?
Yeah. Well, so pregnancy-wise, this is my first pregnancy, so I don't have anything else to compare it to. But generally, my doctor's visits have been at a clinic, so it's not actually the hospital.
Okay.
But the clinic is kind of in the same area as the hospital, and it's attached to the hospital. But I don't actually go into the hospital. Usually they would allow both me and my husband in to every visit. So that has changed now because of the pandemic, and they're not allowing any support visitors in. So I have to go in alone. He was allowed for the very first one, so he could see the first ultrasound of the baby. But after that, he's not allowed in. So he drops me off and he has to wait in the parking lot, poor thing, while I go up and finish my visit and come back. And then at the visit, it's the usual. You have to wear a mask. They take your temperature when you go in. So again, like it's weird because I've not seen my doctor's face at all because we're both wearing masks. Like I've only seen that part of her face.
That's crazy.
But otherwise, I think otherwise it's not that much different. I mean, they're doing all the responsible things. They're doing the social distancing. So in the waiting room, they have some chairs that are turned back and only some chairs that are open for people to sit on. Wherever possible, they're trying to minimize kind of in-person time at the clinic. So like when I have to schedule my follow-up appointments, they're not scheduling appointments in the office. They want you to leave as soon as possible and do all of that over the phone. So like as much as you can over the phone. But yeah, otherwise, so far, that's what it's been. It's been visits at the clinic. Husband's not allowed in. I go in alone. Well, I guess it'd be interesting to see how the actual birthing and labor experience is.
Yeah. Well, what about like go ahead, Pratik, say again.
I said, are you getting a midwife?
A midwife? No, I don't think so. I think I'm more of a doctor person.
Well, what about, we've been hearing so much about telemedicine and stuff. Has that come into play at all for you? Like if they're going to do the next appointment over phone, are there any check-ins or checkups that you're able to do virtually as well?
I haven't done any telemedicine on the pregnancy, to be honest. So I think all the regular checkups have been scheduled as in-person appointments. So, I mean, I call the nurse line every now and then if I feel like I'm not sure what's going on, but that's not, I mean, again, that's not the, I probably would have done that even if it wasn't for the pandemic, but I haven't been doing any telemedicine on the pregnancy front.
So you're full term now, any day now.
I am any day now.
And what conversations have you had with your husband in terms of what is his support responsibility and what was let's say what was the toughest? Was there a tough or difficult conversation or agreement to get to? And is there a story you'd like to share?
Let me think through that.
Is he watching?
He's not watching.
Then go ahead.
I'm trying to think through what was the most difficult. I don't think there was anything that was difficult that we didn't agree upon. I think it's mostly, getting him to realize that when I go into labor, so, this is all like completely new to me. So I'm learning as I go along too. And I just learned that you basically labor at home for many, many hours, like almost a day sometimes before your contractions are strong enough where they will take you into the hospital. So if you go in early, they're just going to like send you back and say, come back. Yeah. So there's multiple hours where you're just going to be laboring at home. And by the time you're going to the hospital, apparently it's going to be quite bad. Wow. So I think like getting him to realize that I'm basically going to be dysfunctional at that point. So he has to be driving the bus and he needs to know like where we need to go and like what entrance to use at the hospital, what floor are we going to, what number to call, like you're supposed to call the clinic before we go. So it's like, you're going to be doing all of that. So you need to like know what you have to do when that's going on. So we took a couple birthing classes together. So I think that has helped him kind of start to grasp the way things are going to flow. So it wasn't a hard conversation per se, but it's like, okay, we need to start internalizing like how this is going to flow when I actually go into labor.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a link offline here of a book that a friend of mine, Kira Lauren or Kira Dorian, I forget what the name is on the book, but it is a series of conversations that couples should have before the child shows up. And it just helps, build that groundwork before it's crunch time, so that you then don't, in the middle of a situation, try to figure out how to handle the situation. So I'll share that with you.
Yes, that would be useful. Thank you.
Awesome. Do you know the sex of the baby?
Yes, it's going to be a boy.
It's going to be a boy. Do you have
Yes.
names picked out?
That is an active conversation still.
Wait, are your parents still in town? Or are they still with you?
Yeah, they're still with me.
Yeah,
They're stuck
yeah.
here for the pandemic.
Of course they are.
So that's been a nice blessing in disguise, I guess. So no, name has not been picked out yet, and we just learned that if you don't provide a name at the hospital, that's okay. You can provide it 10 days later, but for records, for the hospital records, they apparently put it down as Baby Johnson is the default name.
That's interesting. So Meenakshi is correcting me, gender, not sex. I thought the baby will, or the individual will decide their gender later, Meenakshi, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm getting the vocabulary mixed up. So Pratik, no pregnancies for you, huh?
No.
How about a house search? What have you been up to?
I did think of buying a house,
All
not
right.
in Seattle, elsewhere, just as an investment idea more than anything else. I was thinking I could go live there until the middle of next year, which is when I will absolutely need to be here for work. And who knows if it goes on longer than that. So that would be like an option. We made an offer on a house. We were outbid. The market is still pretty hot. I just thought it would have cooled down a little bit, but it hasn't. And yeah, so we we're looking, but it's just not, nothing too serious if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm just realizing how, we're of course having this conversation about our personal experiences, but we're really covering macroeconomic topics. We're talking about housing boom and low interest rates and pandemic and medicine and childbirth in the middle of it. And of course, Facebook and Amazon. My God, could you pick two more companies that were less in the news? It's crazy. So obviously Amazon has sort of taken over everybody's shopping habits, Archana, and I know you're not on the retail side, but what is it like inside at this time? Is everyone losing their mind, or is it just busy times but normal work?
I think like you said, I'm not so much on the retail side. I'm more on the cloud computing side. So we don't see a lot of the peaks and valleys of the retail business a whole lot. So really on the teams that I'm working on, we haven't really, like I said, it's been pretty even keeled so far. We have our own events and stuff that make it busier during certain times of the year. Mm-hmm. So like usually in November we have a large conference, and that's gone virtual now, so that's not going to be an in-person conference.
I know somebody who's coaching those speakers for the conference.
Oh yes.
Sorry, yes, keep going. Don't mean to interrupt.
Archana was one of the speaker coaches for that. So there's been a little bit of upheaval, I guess, in trying to figure out like what does this conference mean in this new format, like what are the launches we're going to perform at this conference, deadline dates, and so that format has changed a bit. So I think that's what's been keeping the teams busy on the cloud computing side of Amazon.
That's interesting that you said it's been even keeled, because I would have just assumed, because of the pandemic, there's a lot more need for remote conferencing, things that would depend on AWS, and I would have thought maybe that has some impact on AWS.
Zoom is not an AWS customer.
But there are so many tools built on AWS,
sure,
and
yeah.
there's a need for all these tools. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some of that, but I think there's also been industries that have been hit by the pandemic and are pulling back from their usual kind of load that they would normally put on AWS. So maybe that's compensating for it a little bit. But also, like the project that I've been working on, it's a new project, so it's not on an existing product. So I've been spending the past 6 to 8 months doing a brand new project that hasn't been launched. So maybe I'm not seeing some that side of the things, operational aspects of it too. So that's also possible.
And Pratik, Facebook, obviously, heck, your CEO was testifying to the Congress, what, yesterday or 2 days ago. So all this hubbub about elections and fake news and controlling misinformation, et cetera, does that play into where you are in the organization at all? Or what are the conversations like for you on the inside?
Well, they're even less so now, now that we're all remote. But I'm on the infrastructure side of things, kind of like cloud computing, but internal to Facebook. And
Yeah.
so we were never really involved in that aspect of it. Didn't see too much of it. There are avenues that they provide for all employees to have a voice or a discussion around it and to learn about it. And they have, Mark does weekly Q&A. There are lots of internal sessions that you can join to learn about it. I just didn't care about it too much to be involved with that aspect of the company. I can say though that like Facebook saw a massive spike in usage because of the pandemic, and there was like where I am on the infrastructure side, we basically saw a massive crunch in terms of just the availability of hardware because the demand was so high. And now we're in an environment where even if we want to buy stuff is not available because not stuff, stuff is not being manufactured. A lot of it that you would need. So it's definitely internally where I am at Facebook in infrastructure. We've seen like a big jump in usage, which has resulted in a big jump in utilization of hardware and a shortage of it.
Yeah, now we're talking about supply chain disruptions globally. See, Meenakshi, you're right. We do need an economist. By the way, Meenakshi was also asking Pratik if you've gotten married too.
Oh my God, this question haunts me everywhere I go. I guess I can't blame Meenakshi because she was my mom.
Yeah, well, but I noticed that you're not answering the question. He's like, I have no reason to quench the rumors. Let there be rumors. Are you married?
I am not.
All right. Okay, there you go, Meenakshi. Just for the record. All right. So you guys, what's next? I mean, obviously elections are next, and Pratik, you said you were excited about elections. Most people are excited that the election will eventually be over, I guess. But and we don't know when the pandemic or the virus will be under control and when we'll go back to working or whatever. But personally, or even beyond that, what do you think is next? What does future look like?
I remember when I was younger, I used to think, like when I first learned of Rome and this great Roman Empire and this democratic setup that they had, and I was wondering, how can this go away, dissolve in a matter of a generation or two? And I think I know the answer now. Maybe I'm going into the philosophical aspect now, but I've just been so disappointed with what's been going on in this country, with what Trump has done. So I think that'll be the one positive that I look forward to for this year is seeing the back of him. There's just so much we can go into there. We probably don't want to go into there. Probably don't want to politicize this too much. But that's what I meant when I said I look forward to. I'm usually encouraged by the massive turnout that I see throughout the country everywhere, despite voter suppression efforts and things like that, despite the pandemic, despite all these concerns that I have. So I'm hopeful in that regard, very hopeful in that regard. And yeah, that's why I'm looking forward to it.
All right. And personally speaking, do you have something within your life that is like a light at the end of the tunnel for you that you're also excited about, or is it really just been more about the country and the world in general for you?
Yeah, it's just general things. Yeah.
Yeah. And Archana, beyond the imminent childbirth, what does future look like for you?
It's hard for me to think about anything else beyond the childbirth right now, to be honest. But I don't know. it's going to be a new normal, so I'm going to have to figure out. Hopefully, I want to be able to achieve a healthy balance between my work, the child and family, and theater, and keep that alive as well. So those are my hopes, I guess. We'll see how much of that happens, and I'm sure it'll evolve over time as the child grows, how much time I get to spend on each of these things. But long term, I want to still keep a good balance between the three of those, I guess, aspects of my life.
Yeah, I mean, they don't call these things a life-changing event for nothing, right? It is entirely going to change your life. But best wishes to you with all of those things that you just mentioned, and we wish you a safe, healthy, happy baby boy, and
Thank you.
and then eventually we'll be able to get together and celebrate, and we'll do that. And best to you, Pratik, as well. Fingers crossed. Let's see how next Tuesday goes, and let's wish that your dreams and aspirations do come true as well. There's a lot of people rooting along with you, although there are a lot of people rooting against you too. But so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, on that note, thank you both for joining me here in the green room for Pratidhwani's series of conversations with our creative community. Feels like today we talked more about the world and the economy and less about the arts, but that's also a part of our lives right now, and that is how things are going. All right, thank you very much. Thank you all who are watching and commenting and participating in the conversation. We will see you soon at another green room. Thanks very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.